Hey, James.
Hey, there you go. How's it going?
Well, how was stuff?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Now we've got the release out of the door. I can relax. And I've got the rest of the week off, so
Nice.
yeah. Hey Roger. Hey Joey. Just a reminder for you guys, we're being recorded. We might cut some of this out when we get it onto YouTube, but we might not.
Good to know. Thank you.
How's life, Roger? Are things good?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
We
Hey Arl.
Tofu, so it's definitely brightened up my day.
You're a little bit quiet, by the way, Roger.
Okay, let me fix that.
Hey, hey. We're just waiting on Christian. We'll give him a couple minutes. We just came out of the ticket triage meeting, so maybe he wants a bit of a break from people. No, here he is.
Hello, hello.
So, is anybody interested in leading and taking notes today? I think we've been rotating around between the TSC members. To put people on the spot, I think it's Roger, Igor, or RL who's next up if we're rotating.
Give me a second. I can do it today.
Roger, were you saying something?
He said, give me a second. I think he's trying to figure out his microphone.
We taking notes in GitHub or Google Doc?
As long as they end up in GitHub, make notes in whatever you like.
Yep.
We have an agenda for.
I can nominate myself to go next after whoever will do it like this time.
I can take it today. Do we have an agenda in the Google Doc somewhere?
We do have an agenda on the
public GitHub.
On the public GitHub. I started loading the RSC folder. I can share a link. You're still very quiet, by the way, Roger. Shrugs, that's fine. Maybe you can share your screen and type to us. That's fine. I think it'll be a fairly brief meeting today anyway.
I'm not sure what's actually on the agenda, but I want to preempt the agenda and just say congratulations on the release of 110.
Thank you.
That's a big one.
Thank you. It was maybe too big. Yeah, it's been a big release. I think the team's pretty happy to get it out, right, Christian? We were talking to some of the other guys earlier.
Yeah, it's I think this is the first release a lot of them have been a part of and contributed to, so it was nice to see that launch.
Have people already downloaded it and tested it then? No? Oh, so slow, Zach. You've had like an hour already.
I mean, you could check telemetry and see if anybody's done it, but it's unlikely.
Let's make that one very clear in our public recorded video. No telemetry is collected by OpenTofu. Right. You can go and collect Terragrunt telemetry.
Yeah. We actually don't have Terragrunt telemetry either. This would be Gruntworks' proprietary platform.
Ah, okay.
James, did we forget to click the get.opentofu.org redeploy? Thanks.
I'm on it.
We do have a checklist. It's just, I think James and I are both a little bit burnt out at this point. All right, let's jump in. So, Roger, are you taking notes for tonight? Okay. All right, let's. I can share my screen then pull up the agenda. Screen. Okay. So, action items are talking about the 110 release, which we're doing, updated action items from the last meeting, and CNCF onboarding status. James, you want to take that real quick?
The CNCF onboarding status. Yep, sure, I can do that one super quick. So we made an agreement last week, and Igor might look a little confused about why we've not done anything. We made an agreement last week that we were waiting on the CNCF to get back to us about migrating over to the CNCF workspace. And we said if we don't hear from them within a week, we will just do it and just migrate and send all of our users over there, and that's cool. Since then, Slack announced that it's changing all of its pricing, and it told the Linux Foundation that the Linux Foundation Slack server will be moved to the free tier. The Linux Foundation then panicked a little, started backing up all of the Slack channels, discussing an alternative. Should we move to Discord? Should we move to Mattermost or Zulip and things like this? And I made the executive decision to not look into the Slack migration right now because we may end up migrating again in about another week. The situation today is that I think the Linux Foundation is looking at alternatives. There are GitHub discussions going around. There is also a Slack channel on the CNCF workspace and some blog posts and an FAQ from the Linux Foundation. The Slack FAQ channel, that's the one, where they're discussing what's happening. I'm sure there's some politics. Apparently Slack will not be downgraded, but I'm not sure if bridges are already burnt and what's going on. I'm speaking to about 3 or 4 different people at the Linux Foundation about this. So one of the interesting points was that I asked a question really early in the Slack FAQ channel. Maybe Christian can find it if he's scrolling quickly enough. I think this isn't blocking our onboarding to the CNCF. We are still we are already a CNCF sandbox member. The messages I received privately are that we should move across to the CNCF Slack, but the message that I received here in this public Slack is that it's only a recommendation, I believe they say.
Something that's offered.
Yes. So I think we're just in a holding pattern right now to see what happens with Slack pricing. I know there are discussions going on between the CNCF, Kubernetes projects, and other projects. So that's why nothing has happened. It's not that we're lazy. It's that Slack decided to change everyone's pricing model and disrupt everything. Does anyone have any questions? It's a shame that we're caught in this limbo. It's what I'm going to do once I finish my conversations with the people on Slack is see if we can just get our GitHub issue for onboarding closed and just finalize our onboarding so it looks a little bit nicer. But apart from that, everything's done.
Cool. So one action item for you to ping someone on that side to close the issue. I'd say feel free to ping us if once all this gets figured out.
Yeah, I'm receiving conflicting DMs all over the place. I'm assuming there's a lot of politics and things going on. And with the 25,000 members in the CNCF Slack, to get the price they want is probably like $250,000 a month or something. So I don't think they'll do that. But the rest of the onboarding is complete. We have everything else set up. Our maintainers are already part of all the mailing lists. Our projects are being monitored. Everything's already set up.
Awesome. Let's jump into action items from last meeting. So action here. Sorry, this took a little bit longer to publish. I was out at the end of last week, and between getting stuff ready for the release, took a little bit to get this all sorted. See, carryover, write an RFC for dumping profiling info from OpenTofu. I ended up just writing a PR because it was 10 lines of code and updating the docs. So that has made it into the 111 branch. And apparently GitHub does not like that image anymore. But yeah, so it's now documented for the next cat is on the board. For the 111 release, this will be included. It was like 10 lines of code and just as much documentation. So yeah. So that's all set. Here. Okay, so what's going on with the future of workspaces interfaces with orchestrators group, Roger? That was on you to set something up there.
That was on me to set up, and I have not. I will take that action item again to get started after this call.
Okay. Okay, thanks. We do have a lot of other work that's like kind of piling up against that, and has been for a while. So thanks. Let's see, James. New governance repo with TSC docs, agendas, notes, and move these files over. That way we're not creating a churn in the repo.
I actually forgot that was a decision made against myself. That's terrible. I'll be honest.
James, if you want, I can take it off your plate and do it myself.
If you don't mind, Igor, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. So I'll take care of it, Christian. You can reassign this to me.
Okay. And I did this morning, went through and removed all non-essential members from the org. So it's just TSC members and maintainers. So we're all set there. I also renamed, like, we go to a random pull request. Because we used to have terminology for core team. I'm going to double check a few things after this meeting. But because that's still in draft. Let's see. Yeah, it's assigned to maintainers. OpenTofu/maintainers. Before that, we'd have said core team. That's been renamed. There might be a few references and something that needs to be updated, but I will confirm that that is done after this meeting. And so I believe that was yes. I was going to talk to Fidelity. I did reach out. They haven't gotten back yet. I'll hopefully have an update next time with some of their thoughts on why they need custom backups. Continue that conversation. So that's what we had on the agenda. Are there any other items people want to bring up for discussion? Any questions on the 110 release?
Do we need any discussion on the 111 release at this point?
That is a good question.
I think we are still in a state where we need to get write-ups from the hackathon and discuss some RFCs a little bit more that are ongoing. Maybe in the next TSC meeting, we can be discussing 111.
So the action items out of that is for the core team, sorry, for the maintainers to work on refining that milestone a little bit within the next week, or within the next 2 weeks.
And if any of the TSC members want anything in 111, feel free to write an RFC or open up a feature request and we can discuss it. No idea is a bad idea.
So we do have the spot here. Milestones. And we've closed over 1,000 editions. Yay. This I can close because we just released this. Up into 111. We've moved a few stragglers over here, but we're starting to just collect issues that seem like they might be good candidates or bugs that people are likely going to be wanting. in formal.
Mhm.
So, something that has been working well for us is these RFC trackers, where individual issues will get closed as the parts of the feature are complete. But to give a very public overview of how a big feature is coming together, I'll just pick on this one for now. This shows as the maintainers will put this together for RFCs and say, here, like the PRs we expect, here are the sub issues we're thinking need to be handled. And that way it's easier for the community members to jump in and say, hey, I see where this PR fits in, or to say, hey, it looks like this piece is still needing to be done. Could I open up a PR for this subcomponent of this task? So. Yes.
Are we okay with community contributions with this one?
With this one in particular, probably not. Just due to concerns about what code you're looking at, so what tools you're
Mhm.
using.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm actually gonna what we've done in the past is put core team on these issues. If I go back to the 111 milestone, you can see a few of these where there might be some overlap with other tooling. We have core team on it just to kind of firewall that off for now. Hopefully, as code changes more and more and diverges over time, that will become less and less prevalent. There's still a few things in here that are pending decision, like code for metadata dump, these backend improvements, which I think, Lawrence, there's some related issues you were looking at, Lawrence, because the whole Azure backend is squirrely is probably the nicest word I can use for it. So there's some, sorry, I'm just kind of rambling and going through.
I could speak to the Azure backend. I'm not part of the core team, but
Sure.
I'm working on rewriting that right now. The Azure backend uses an old version of the service version to the Azure cloud, and it's using a deprecated version of AutoRest. I'm moving it over to the Azure SDK for Go client. I've run into a couple of interesting issues, and I'm keeping it, as Christian said, bug for bug compatible with the current implementation. Progress has been going extremely well on that. And I've also been working with Troy Knapp, who's mentioned that he's going to help with the different authentication endpoints for that. There's so many different ways to authenticate. And after you authenticate, you then re-authenticate with something else that makes accessing it easier. I could ramble on and on about it, but that's a tangent.
Yeah, it's really appreciated that you're digging into this, because it's a large source of worry that we've had in the core team for a while, is how do we keep up to date with these libraries, especially because the way we're accessing them right now is through one of HashiCorp's helper libraries, which long-term we'd like to move away from. It is nice that there's some duplicated effort there, but it also means that we're pinned to improvements that are pulled in from that third party, which isn't ideal. So I'm excited to see this go in, and I'm happy to help with anything you I think this will close a dozen issues or so that are related to Azure RM, or at least make them a lot easier to implement. Milestone. So yeah, take a look at what's in here. If you're a TSC member, if you want to advocate for anything, or if there's anything that's not on this list that you think should be, I'll just add that as a general action item for the next release, or for the next TSC meeting. Sorry, I've got not a lot of sleep last night, so I'm a little bit of it. Is there anything else we want to talk about in this TSC meeting today?
Nope.
Going once, or twice. Okay.
Should
Thanks,
we
everyone.
just double check, Joey and Lawrence? Do you guys have any questions or anything that we can answer for you guys?
Nothing that can't wait for tomorrow.
I did have minor points if we're out of agenda items. The blog post cited 10 million GitHub release downloads.
Yes.
You might remember I have a spreadsheet that tracks the downloads, and I think we have an internal database.
Is
someone
that
else
one
did.
saying like 12.5 million?
It's saying 19 million.
Yes. I think a lot of it are checksums and
So you're
my script filters it all out. If you go and get just like raw download counts, we're at like 19 million plus all the package managers and everything. There's a lot to it, but yeah, I think we crossed 10 million today or tomorrow. I'll have a check. But
you feel good that we're not underrepresenting the number. That was my concern.
I can go triple check it.
I mean, your explanation makes sense to me. Like, most tools will also download the checksum in parallel, and so that's going to cut the number roughly in half, more or less.
Yeah,
Cool.
there is a download tracker online as well that says GitHub release stats. That's right now it says we're at 12.7 million downloads. So, yeah. There was some interesting stats on the back of this one, though. Like I've said there as well, the amount of downloads of 191 overtook 190 in 7 days. So it was really interesting to see how quickly people switched over. I think Package Cloud would have some nicer graphs that we can show. But what's interesting, it's don't bring it up now, Christian, unless you could log in immediately. But it's really interesting to go and see the adoption being really quick. My script fetches data every 6 hours. Maybe I should fetch it hourly for the next couple of days and see how it goes. We can publish these stats publicly, though. Someone asked me for them. It's just tracking the GitHub ones now and put them in a database. I think you've got the spreadsheet as well that fetches them daily, I think. Yeah, we should try and make a service for this. I have a GitHub repo called Bean Counter, because tofu and beans, I thought it was hilarious. That just tracks all the stats, and we can go from there.
Who needs AI? Be super clever.
Okay, so then what I did was it's all dumped in a Neon database, and I use AI to go and query it. Because I wanted to aggregate all of the different releases for each major release. So I need AI.
I don't know how they're tracking the difference between installs and downloads in Package Cloud. But
yeah, that feels a bit broken, doesn't it?
Still, all-time 500,000 downloads from Package Cloud for RPM and devs.
All right, I
So-
think we can. Oh,
I have one thing. Sorry, my mic wasn't working when you first asked. The reason that I joined today was I'm trying to learn the processes that you guys are going through, from like I have an issue to moving that to an RFC to actually getting developers working on something. And I talked to Martin about this, and he said that there's like no active process, at least from when I talked to him. So what I'm trying to figure out is if there's like an issue. I know that there needs to be an RFC so that the community can get behind like a proposed solution to an issue. But if it's such a low thumbs up issue and it's something that I wanted to pick up myself to contribute, what should the process be for me to go through?
So I think first off, not every issue requires an RFC. This is something where the maintainers have kind of historically just used a rule of thumb of this seems complex and we should have a in-depth discussion about it for RFCs versus this seems like a relatively straightforward proposal. Let's accept it and see if someone wants to work on it. So every week the core team meets again, switching terminology in my head from the past year. Maintainers meet for an hour, discuss active issues, see what's been commented recently, and try and move them into the place where they can be accepted and worked out. So we do have some information in FAQ which details some of this, but honestly, I could probably use a revamp, and we could add a little bit of information here. So
would my course of action, like, I have a very low priority issue that I want to work on, and it's so low priority that I know we're not going to need an RFC for it. If I wanted to start working with it, would I join that meeting with you guys where you discuss it for an hour, or should I just pick it up, start working on it, propose a change, and then from there you guys would decide, hey, this is good or not good, and then move it forward?
usually we ask people to get shoot us a ping on the issue. Do you know what the issue number off the top of your head? Or do you know what issue?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay.
So if you raise an issue, Joey, we'll accept it or say it needs an RFC. And if you say you want to work on it and it's accepted, just go for it. If it needs an RFC, well, it's mainly just we want to clarify how it's worked on, just to make sure we're going down the right path. But if you want to raise an issue, we accept it and mark it as help wanted. I think this is documented in our contributing guide or the FAQ. If it's marked as help wanted, you can pick it up. That's no problem. I think Lawrence has just gone through this process as well. So, and if you are super unsure about something, Joey, just DM me or Christian and we can chat to you about it.
It's sitting in pending decision right now. I know that. I'll find the issue here in a little bit and I'll Slack you guys and I'll see hey, what can I do for this?
Did you raise it yourself?
I did, and then Marty told me to close it because there was a duplicate.
I don't know you could have handled, but yeah, we can.
It's a Polo Orion.
We can handle this out of band. But cool. Yeah, so in general, we tend not to suggest people start working on things until they're accepted, primarily because we don't want someone to get invested in spending time on a solution before the maintainers have had a chance to talk to the community about how this particular thing should be solved. In a lot of cases, there's several different ways to solve an issue, or there might be other work that's in progress that's already touching this area. And we just want to help people contribute in a way that is productive and not feel like they're putting a bunch of work in to have it be stalled or having to be changed significantly. So that's why we have a little more of a rigid process.
That makes sense. And I just want to bring one more thing up really quickly. Is there a way that we could document that in some way? Because I know I'm probably not the only person that has wondered this exact thing. Hey, if you want to contribute, if it still says pending discussion, just bring it up to us in Slack, something like that.
Yeah, we should improve our documentation around this. I think it's in there somewhere, but it's
buried.
The Christian can't even find it now. So,
well, so this kind of gives an overview of what I said.
Let's improve the docs.
Yeah, we should improve these docs. All right. Anything else we want to discuss? 110 release. The VS Code extension went out. That's been very well received by the community. That was Dio and Ilya kind of took point on that and did a great job getting that across the line.
Mm-hmm. I think that's everything.
Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for your time, and we'll get these notes posted as soon as possible. Cheers.
Cheers.